Reading this one book will change your life. Reading this one book will change your life. If you apply it and you actually take the principles from this book, I guarantee you it will change everything for you. 2017, I decided I had to become successful. And so I started studying successful people. What do they do on a consistent basis? Can I copy it? Can I get the same results? And one thing I learned is that millionaires and successful people read upwards of 2 to 4 books a month. And I decided, you know what, that's easy. I could implement that. And so I started picking up reading. And then I studied more and tried to figure out which books millionaires and successful people read. And one book kept coming up over and over and over again. And this book was called Think and Grow Rich. Now, I've read over 200 plus books on personal development, business, mindset, body language, anything you could think of. And I've learned a lot. Think and Grow Rich is by far the best book I've ever read when it comes to success and mindset. And it is the most influential book I've ever read. And I use the techniques from this book to create my first successful business. And in today's video, I'll break down the techniques and exactly how I use them. Because it's one thing to hear about the techniques, but when you hear a real life example of how it was implemented, it will help you implement it a lot easier yourself. So the first technique from Think and Grow Rich that I utilized was having a major definite purpose. You know, I was pretty lost. I didn't know where I was going. I went on a cruise for my dad's 50th birthday, and I remember waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to sit down and trying to analyze what I was going to do with my life. Where was I going to go from here? Because it seemed like I was going nowhere. And I thought about the things that I liked doing and things that I enjoyed in life. And one thing I enjoyed was barbering, going to the barber shop. I loved going to the barber shop. Going to the barber shop was my favorite thing to do. And so I decided, you know what, since I like doing this so much, I'm going to open up a barber shop. And so I set my definite purpose. And that's the first key thing from Think and Grow Rich. The first key technique is to have a major definite purpose. I said, you know what, I have to become an entrepreneur, and I'm going to open this business. So once I set my clear, specific goal, my definite purpose, I started to lock in. I started to watch hours of YouTube videos. I started to go to barber conferences. I started to read barber magazines. I was just obsessed. I was learning everything I could about cutting hair. And I didn't want to get stuck in a typical trap of cutting just a certain demographic's hair. So I wanted to learn how to cut everybody's hair. I would learn how to cut straight hair and learn techniques that are not typical of most black barbers, because a lot of black barbers, they just know how to cut black hair. But I was like, nah, I'm not going to get stuck in that loop. I'm going to learn how to cut every type of hair, especially since I looked at the statistics and I saw that I think Canada is like 6% Afro texture people, Afro people, like black people. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to service 6% of the market. I got to service everybody. So I started learning scissor work, and I just locked in. Once I had that major definite purpose, it gave me a direction to follow. The second technique is have a burning desire. So I knew right away, I was like, I'm going to have this business. I'm going to have it in a certain time frame. So I said 3 years. From the time I picked up a clipper, I knew it was going to take me 3 years or less to open my barbershop. And I got to give a shout out to my old man, because he kind of pushed me to do it quicker than 3 years, which ended up saving me, because 3 years later was COVID, right? If I had waited 3 years, then I probably wouldn't have had a business. My pops pushing me to do it quicker actually saved my business and actually got me where I wanted to go. But my desire was just like up there. I found the best barbershop I could work at. I made sure I looked at the best barbershops. I saw the one with the best reviews, and I did everything possible to get there. Once I got there, I used to act like I was the owner. So everybody else would be wearing street clothes. I would actually wear dress shirts, and people would ask me if I'm the owner, and I'm like, nah, I'm just the apprentice, right? I would come in extra early to make sure that I would control the music, because my coworkers didn't really care about the customers too much, and they just wanted to hear what they wanted to hear. So me, I would be there, and sometimes the customers would come in and they'd be playing like crazy gangster rap and all this craziness, and I thought that was completely inappropriate because I'm like, you can't go to Walmart or any one of these professional establishments and hear any gangster rap, right? But especially with cursing. That kind of drove me up the wall a little bit, and so I used to come in extra early to make sure that I would treat the place like it was my business, even though I was just working there. I was just working there, and I treated it like it was my business because I knew in order for me to become a entrepreneur, I have to act like an entrepreneur. So I acted like an entrepreneur. I would make sure that the music was on point. I would make sure I clean up my station and go above and beyond with my customer service. And it was that burning desire to become an entrepreneur that made me act the part that eventually got me there. And the third technique I used was faith and auto-suggestion. I knew 100% for sure I was going to open that barbershop. I didn't care through hook or crook, I was going to do it. And I set up my environment to make sure that I always felt it and I never got discouraged. I would have affirmations. I am a business owner. I would cut out pictures of barbershops and barbers and whatnot. I'd put it on my wall and I'd look at it every day. So I was programming my mind to believe that was my reality. By doing this on a consistent basis, I already felt like I was a barbershop owner. I already felt like my shop was successful. And I would say it over and over again. I'm a business owner. I have the best barbershop in the city that I'm working in. All these things I would say over and over again. And I know it might sound a little crazy, it might sound a little corny, but this stuff works because you start to believe it. And during my time as being a barbershop owner, I had over 600 5-star reviews with no negative reviews. None of the negative reviews came from me. It was like my employee got a 3-star and somebody else got a 4-star. But hundreds of 5-star reviews, and that's because I affirmed it. I said, you know what? I'm the best when it comes to customer service. I knew I was entering the game late. So because I was entering the game late, I knew the chances of me catching up with these guys in skill was pretty unlikely. But where I could beat them was customer service because I found that the industry was lacking customer service. I'm like, you know what? I put that auto suggestion in. I'm the best in customer service. I have the best barbershop. And I affirmed that and it happened. Auto suggestion and belief was a huge part of me getting where I wanted to be. The fourth technique I used from Think and Grow Rich to open my own business was specialized knowledge. I decided that, like I said before, I couldn't really catch up to these dudes in skills because there's a lot of dudes that were cutting hair and they've been doing it for 20 years and whatnot. I wasn't going to catch up, not in the time frame that I wanted. And I was like, what can I beat them at? You know, where can I specialize? And I realized that a lot of barbers were great with cutting hair, but they didn't understand it. So that's when I decided to become a hair nerd. I started studying the makeup of hair, like the genetic makeup of hair, different types of hair type from like 1A to 4C. I started to study why shampoos work, why conditioners work, how many times people should wash their hair per week, what causes men's hair loss. Just everything I could learn about hair itself, I became an expert. And because I became an expert, a lot of my clients, they appreciated it. I had some clients with flat heads and the back of their head was flat. And so I learned how to cut their hair to make their head look round still, even though their head was flat. So I learned all these different techniques and specialized in stuff outside of just cutting hair. And that made me more valuable to the marketplace. And I have a extremely loyal client base, even though I do other things other than barbering. I have some guys that have been seeing me for my entire career because I added that value by knowing their needs and giving them more than just a haircut. The fifth technique I used was visualization and imagination. Before I had the barbershop, I used to visualize being in the barbershop, and that goes back to me pretending, doing things at the shop and dressing a certain way and moving a certain way like I already had it. I would actually visualize it. I would see it. I saw myself cutting the ribbon, which actually happened. I saw everything, all the events and everything playing out before it happened. And I would imagine, I would pretend, right? that this is going to happen. And the crazy part is a lot of what I was pretending on happened. For example, one of the pictures that I cut out to put on my vision board was of a barbershop with brown floors and white walls. And then my barbershop had brown floors and white walls. I'm telling you, man, this stuff really works. The sixth technique from Think and Grow Rich that I used to open my first business was persistence, man. Because I opened my business and exactly 11 months later, the vid hit and I got shut down for 10 months. And there were so many things going on that stopped my business from operating. There were so many obstacles. I had a lot of issues with employees and retention, but I kept being persistent. And that's just part of the game, right? I learned so much about life and business just from persistence and not giving up. I actually sold my business, but because I saw a greater opportunity, I could have actually kept going, but I just learned some things from a lot of my really wealthy clients that made me change how I think about making money. And that's why I decided to shut down the shop. But the years that I was there, there were so many things that could have broken me. I've had people steal from me. I've had people try to put me in crazy contracts and take advantage of me. All these different things come with the dream. I got the dream. I got what I wanted, but there were so many things that came with it that were not that great that you just have to keep pushing through. If you have a particular goal or whatnot, always remember that there is going to be some BS that comes with the dream. It's not going to be all sunshine or rainbows. Things are going to happen. Make sure that you prepare for that and understand that no matter what you do, even when you do accomplish your dream, it's still not going to be perfect. You just got to keep pushing through. And the seventh technique I used from Think and Grow Rich to open my first business, this actually didn't help me open the business, but it was part of the business. I'm fascinated by successful people. And one of the techniques in Think and Grow Rich is to have a mastermind group. So my whole plan was to go into an extremely wealthy neighborhood. When I go into this wealthy neighborhood, I was going to get free game from all the wealthy people that I was servicing. And that's exactly what happened. I pretty much turned my business into a mastermind group. And a mastermind group is a group of people that have similar beliefs that help you grow as a person, right? I decided instead of creating a club or whatnot, I was going to turn my clients into my mastermind group. And that's exactly what I did. And it paid off because it allowed me to see so many different ways of making money and being successful by actually speaking to the people, which was 10 times more valuable than even watching a YouTube video or any of those other things. It's like I had a bunch of wealthy mentors, right? A mastermind group is just a group of people with a common mindset as you, and you guys help each other out. And I turned that into my customers, right? My customers were my mastermind group. That was extremely beneficial, and the information that they gave me changed my life. Now, with all this being said, these are the techniques that I used in order to open my first successful business from Think and Grow Rich. If you use these techniques and you take them, you study them, and you implement them on any goal that you're trying to accomplish, and you really stick to it, you will succeed. Over 200 books read. This is the best one I've ever read. It's made the biggest difference in my life. It helped me get my first successful business. It's going to help me with my current businesses now. And it's just an extremely practical and amazing book. It's been around since the 30s. It's still always in the bestsellers list. People are not going to keep a book in the bestsellers list for almost 100 years because it's an okay book. It's a life-changing, life-altering, beneficial book. And if you're going to start on your personal development journey, it's a book that I suggest you do start off with and you study it. You don't read this book once. You read this book over and over again. My version of Think and Grow Rich is tattered. All the pages have been highlighted and I got stickers all over it and notes. It's an excellent book to help you accomplish your goals, and hopefully you gain some value from the information I gave you today so you can take it and implement it. Thank you for watching. I know this one's a little bit longer than usual, but I think this is absolutely imperative, and you need to read this book and implement it because it's a game changer. I appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.